There have been endless amount of crimes that have been committed for centuries by violent people. However, one of the lowest of the low have always been murderers. Serial killers are sadly becoming more common in today's society, and what makes it worse is that children and even adults are thirsting over them as if they were their idols. Hello, my name is Bootsers. In today's video, I'm going to provide you an insight of criminals that people have thirsted over. So get ready to sit back, relax, and hopefully enjoy the video. This video will go into dark topics including assault, murders, death, and many more. So if you're in a bad mental state or extremely uncomfortable about these topics, I strongly advise you to please skip this video. Devon Erickson. Devon Erickson was born in Douglas County, Colorado on the 21st of September 2000. He is commonly known as an American school shooter who murdered one student and was the involvement of wounding 8 other peers at STEM School Highlands Ranch. The story has been told as on the afternoon of the 7th of May, Devon and his accomplice Alec McKinney both left the school during the lunch period and went to Devon's house, which then they collected multiple firearms and concealed them into a guitar case and a backpack. They arrived back at school through the back entrance and targeted different sections of the school. Devon went into one classroom and demanded everyone to get down. According to one of the students from the classroom, another peer, Kendrick Ray Castillo, proceeded to jump and take away the weapon but was fatally shot in the chest. After that, Devon was then subdued and disarmed by 2 other students. And in another section of the school, Alex proceeded to wound other students before being tackled down by an armed security guard. Both were then placed into handcuffs and taken into custody. Whilst gathering more information, the police department went over to Devon's house to then find a car with a hand-painted graffiti that read "F*** Society", as well as a 666 and a pentagram on it. Devon Erickson was convicted of murder on the 15th of June 2021 at age 20, and he faces a sentence of life in prison without parole. As a result of this being such a large spectacle, Devon's trial had gained a large amount of publicity, being shown on YouTube videos, articles, and even the news. This then preceded the events of teenagers unironically thirsting over him as he seemed so cool and hot. For instance, on TikTok and YouTube, there has been an uncomfortable amount of posts about him as well as loads of comments saying how hot he is. But in my opinion, Devon looks like a Discord mod, and even more so now. Isabella Guzman. Isabella Guzman was born in Aurora, Colorado on June 1995. On the night of the 28th of 2013, Isabella brutally murdered her mother in the bathroom of their home. Once the deed was done, she then fled the scene and tried to run away, but was caught by the cops while doing so. On the 5th of September 2013, Isabella arrived at a courtroom hearing. Isabella pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. A doctor testified that she was suffering from schizophrenia and had experienced delusion for years. Isabella then reveals that she hadn't realized she was stabbing her mother. Rather, she thought she killed a woman named Cecilia in order to save the world. The judge accepted Guzman's plea and sent her to the Colorado Mental Health Institute until she was no longer a danger to herself or the community. However, this wasn't the only interesting thing that happened in the courtroom. Throughout the entire time, she made a series of bizarre facial expressions at the camera, smirking and pointing at her own eye. At the time, people found it extremely odd on why she was doing it. Everyone then forgot about the incident as if it was nothing. But then, 7 years later, it started to resurface. Back in 2020, old clips from her hearing started to resurface and then made into edits on all social media apps. People began to idolize and thirst over her as commenters found her beautiful and seemed so cool in the courtroom. What made it worse was that people tried to figure out and state that she must have had a good reason to kill her mom, and that she shouldn't have gone to the mental institute. This was then backed up as Isabella claimed that she had suffered from years of abuse at the hands of her own mother.
I was abused at home by my family for many years. My parents are Jehovah's Witnesses, and I left the religion when I was 14, and the abuse at home worsened after I quit.
However, there were no signs of any proof. As for Isabella, she was granted permission to leave the hospital in June 2021. She later then stated that she regretted her decision of killing her mother and would take it all back in a heartbeat if she could. Cameron Herrin. Cameron Coyle Herrin was born on the 9th of September 1999. He was known for having a big name on TikTok as he grew and obtained a large fan base from his content. However, nowadays, Cameron is now famous for his involvement in a fatal crash that led to 2 deaths. On the 23rd of May 2018, Cameron and 2 other individuals were arrested for illegal street racing that then led to the fatal car accident which resulted in a mother, Jessica Robinott, and her baby daughter, Lilia Robinott, being killed. For the other individuals that were with Cameron, they negotiated a plea agreement in which they both pleaded guilty, causing them to have a sentence of 6 years in jail as well as having 15 years of probation. On the 8th of April 2021, Cameron's attorney provided the court with Cameron's statement about the situation and that he pleaded guilty as a result of his vehicular homicide charges. But for Cameron, it was different compared to his 2 other friends. Cameron was the driver. As he was the one who struck the mother and baby daughter, he faced a more significant sentence.
On count 1, vehicular homicide, the court's going to adjudicate the defendant guilty, sentence him to 9 years in Florida State Prison. On count 2, same charge, the court will adjudicate the defendant guilty, sentence him to 15 years Florida State Prison, and that'll run consecutive to count 1, for a total of 24 years Florida State Prison.
Not only did Cameron and his attorney believe that this sentence was unfair, people all over the internet started to demand his freedom, saying all this bullshit about justice for Cameron and that everyone deserves a second chance. Even look at this, there's a petition out there with thousands of signatures for his release. And of course, there's an entire fandom that thirsts over him just because he is hot, making simple edits of him in court, tweeting how he is a king, and even trying to solve the case by pinning it on one of Cameron's friends rather than Cameron himself. Luckily, the government didn't even consider these opinions, and as of right now, Cameron is serving his sentence at the Graceville Correctional Facility. Ted Bundy. Theodore Robert Bundy was born on the 24th of November 1946 in Burlington, Vermont. In his childhood, Bundy's life was quite difficult as he had a strange relationship with his stepfather, as well as being targeted by his bullies as a result of being shy. But in his later years, he began to become more confident and had a successful college career, which caused numerous amount of women to be interested in him. Sadly, some of those women became his murder victims. Bundy has been regarded as an extremely charismatic and handsome person, which he knew and utilized it to obtain the trust of his victims as well as the public during the court case. Bundy had gained a strategy of approaching his victims in public places, manipulating them in a manner for him to gain their trust, and then taking them into an isolated area in which he R-worded them and killed them. Nowadays, Bundy is commonly referred as an American serial killer who has kidnapped, R-worded, and murdered dozens of young women in several different states during the 1970s. So far, he confessed to committing 30 murders, however, his true victim count is unknown and likely to be higher. His psychopathic behavior and actions continued for years, until 1975 when he was arrested and placed into custody in Utah for attempted criminal assault and kidnapping. From this, the police then placed him as a suspect in a list of unsolved homicides in several states. It took years for him to be proven guilty by the judge for his murderous crimes as a result of needing more evidence, and during this time, Bundy didn't let any moment go to waste. During various interviews, Bundy exploited his charming traits and looks to the public to turn them into believing that he was completely innocent, which sadly worked as fans of him started to make an outcry defending him and demanding his freedom.
I'm not afraid of him. He just doesn't look like the type to kill somebody.
Every time he turns around, I kind of get that feeling, oh no, he's gonna get me next,
But yet you're fascinated by him.
Very, very. Every night when I go to bed, I just, I get very scared. I shut my door and lock him,
However, in the end, he received a death sentence and was executed by the electric chair at the Florida State Prison in Rayford on the 24th of January 1989. Even though he was gone, he was still not forgotten. After 4 decades after his death, Bundy's presence still lives on in news stories, articles, documentaries, and of course, in his prevalent fandom. On all social media platforms, Bundy still obtains a large following that worships the killer, despite it being incredibly disrespectful to the victims and their families. Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Lionel Dahmer was born on the 21st of May, 1960 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. In his youth, Dahmer became fascinated with dead animals as he found the sound of their bones oddly thrilling. In his teen years, he was mocked by his high school peers as he was seen as an outcast, and it didn't help as he discovered that he was gay and didn't know what to do about it. During this time period, he met a series of men that he liked. However, he knew that any sexual passes that he would act on would have been rejected by these men. Dahmer couldn't comprehend what to do or how to express himself in a healthy manner. This led him down a horrific path of murdering innocent boys and men, which involved dismemberment, necrophilia, and cannibalism. After his crimes, everyone identified Dahmer as an American serial killer and sex offender who was involved of the murder of 17 boys and men in between 1978 and 1991. During his interviews, he explained why he started his acts of cannibalism.
I was branching out. That's when the cannibalism started, eating of the heart and the arm muscle. It was a way of making me feel that they were a part of me. At first it was just curiosity, and then it became compulsive.
For his crimes, he was sentenced to 15 terms of life imprisonment at the Columbia Correctional Institution in Portage, Wisconsin, and during his imprisonment, he was beaten to death by his fellow inmate, Christopher Scarver. People forgotten about Dahmer's heinous acts over the past few decades, until a Netflix series released a few months ago in which it portrayed the horrific actions that Dahmer had done through the perspectives of his victims. After the series released, it sparked a large number of viewers talking about Dahmer and his situation. People started to make videos about being him, creating fan edits of him, and of course, people thirsting over him and stating how they felt bad for Dahmer.
Serious question. Is there something wrong with me because I high-key felt bad for Jeffrey Dahmer? I was like, damn, like this shit is mad scary. Like that's so sad. But I was like fine throughout the whole thing because like I watch a lot of true crime, whatever. But bitch, when they killed Jeffrey, I was like literally teary-eyed. Like for some reason, like everything that he did that was like absolutely horrifying, just like out the window. I'm literally like looking to my side and I'm like, please tell me they don't kill him.
And as of recording right now, there are still endless amount of posts and comments romanticizing about Dahmer, and it sadly doesn't look like it will end anytime soon. Thank you for watching this video. Sorry if this took a little bit longer than usual. I had to re-record and re-edit some segments as I didn't like the way that they were, but I hope you guys still enjoyed, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Laters.
Should be